from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, "Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest?" He said to them, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated for the homily.
How are you? Today we talk about love. Is it okay? Yeah, it's a very romantic topic, right? You remember your romance. There is one story told about one of the disciples, the beloved disciple John. And he was the last one to die. The other apostles, they were killed and died in different places. And the beloved disciple John was the last one to die. And he was at the church at Ephesus. And because he was a disciple of Jesus, every Sunday they would bring him to the synagogue. Synagogue means the church. They would bring him and he would give a homily. So this is what happened every Sunday. He would come, he would give, people would gather, people would listen. They are never tired of listening to him. And the church was full of people. They want to listen again and again to this beloved disciple John. And it was very strange because the homily he was giving, it was only one sentence. He was repeating that one sentence again and again, and people would listen to him again and again. They were never tired, they never slept. For example, sometimes I speak, maybe if it crosses maybe 7 or 8 minutes, I see some people sleeping, you know who you are. Then don't ask me, "Father, how do you know that I am sleeping?" So he was always talking only in one sentence. That is, he was telling, love one another. This was the only words that he was talking. Very beautiful and very touching. And he was the beloved disciple John. And I am sharing this story because today's readings talk about love. Talk about the commandment of love. And so the theme for our topic, for our Mass today is God is alive in our neighbors. God is alive in our neighbors. So the first reading talks about the life of the people of Israel. Remember, the people of Israel were slaves in the land of Egypt. They were once slaves in the land of Egypt. And who was the one to bring them out? It was the Moses. Under the guidance, leadership of Moses, they were brought out of the Egyptian slavery. And God has protected them. God has saved them. God has guided them to a beautiful place. And so, as He was guiding them out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery, out of captivity, He gave Moses 10 commandments. And the 10 commandments means God has established a covenant with them. So the covenant, God has established a covenant, and so He has given the 10 commandments. So the 10 commandments always tell them about the promise that God has made with the people of Israel. The covenant that God has made with the people of Israel. And so today's first reading is telling about, remember always, remember always you were slaves in Egypt. Never forget that you were slaves before. Why they have to remember? Because the first reading is telling you also should treat others with love and with kindness. Why you have to treat others with love and kindness? Because I have treated you with love and kindness. I have brought you out of the slavery. I have brought you out of the Egyptian bondage. I have established a covenant with you. I have given you the commandments. Therefore remember this and treat others with kindness. Remember this and treat others with love. That means you are grateful for the blessings you have received from God. You are grateful for the protection you have received from God. Therefore, the people of Israel should remember what happened in the past and how they have to act now. Act with love and kindness towards the poor, towards the oppressed, towards the weak, orphans, and widows. It is also a good message for each one of us. You know, sometimes we are victims of people's gossip, marites. We are victims, right? And then we are also the ones who do the marites, right? Everybody, including me, everybody. There is no exception. But then, when we are the target, when we are the victim, it is really painful. Really painful. And so, we have to remember, that these painful situations. When we remember the painful situations, we will not treat others like this. When we remember, we will treat others with love. When we remember, we will treat others with kindness. That means we are grateful for the blessings that we have received. And if you are not grateful for the blessings you have received, you will act in a wrong way. So therefore, the first reading is reminding the people of Israel, never forget the blessings in your life. Also for us, never forget the blessings that we have received in our life. And share these blessings with others. Treat others fairly. Treat others with love. Treat others with kindness. And in the Gospel, Jesus tells us the supreme commandment in Christian life. And He says, love of God and love of neighbor. Love of God and love of neighbor. Sometimes we see people saying that, I love God. But then it is not complete. And in today's Gospel, Jesus says the complete version of love. Love of God and the love of neighbor. Why we have to love neighbor? Because, remember, we cannot see God. So, that God can be seen in our neighbor. God exists in our neighbor, in our brothers and sisters. So if we say that we love the Lord, remember that we also should love the neighbor in our life. If we hate our neighbors in our life, that means we don't love God. So the first reason is that the God is alive in our neighbors. You know why we have to love? Because God is alive in our neighbors. And the second reason is that we are created in the image and likeness of God. Everybody represents the face of God. Everybody represents the face of God. You are a face of God to your brothers and sisters. So therefore, if you want to love God, look at the face of God in our brothers and sisters. So this is very important. No, God is alive in our neighbors. We are the image of God. Therefore, we have to respect and love this image. You know, sometimes because of the bad experiences in our life, the painful experiences in our life, and when we see the face of somebody, we question, is this the face of God? Right? Because maybe they have treated us very badly, and we are the victims. And the Father is telling everybody represents the face of God. How is it possible? How God can be so cruel? How God can be so bad? So this is what we question. So therefore, dear brothers and sisters, remember always, whether you are good or bad, you represent the face of God. You represent God. Therefore, we are supposed to do what we are asked. God never asked us to hate somebody, right? God has asked only to love. So this love can be seen in our words and in our actions. How can we express our love towards God? How can we express our love towards our neighbors? Through our words and through our actions. Our actions and words are very important. Sometimes, the one word can really kill or spoil the life of the other person. Or sometimes our actions also express our hatred towards the others. Therefore, the words and actions are very important. So therefore, dear brothers and sisters, the readings today talked about love. And remember that God is alive in our neighbors, in our brothers and sisters. Always remember the past, always remember the blessings in your life, and be grateful to God, treat others fairly, treat others with kindness and love. And remember that you are the face of God. And so bring this face of God and show this face of God to the other people. And remember always, your actions and your words are very important. God bless you.